Welcome to So Much and More to Say. My name is Nefemi, and I'm happy that you are here to listen. If you're interested in reading the written reviews that I write for these episodes, I think I've mentioned it in a previous episode or two, but I do write written reviews of what I talk about. It's just that what I write and what I talk about kind of differ just a teeny tiny bit, because sometimes there are things that I'll say in the podcast that I don't write in the review, but it's never like a big thing. It's just like maybe a thought or two that I have that I don't that I don't write down. But if you're interested in reading the reviews, you can find them on my website, which you can find linked in the Instagram of @assortofcreations. And yeah, I'll get started with the review for today. And I want to start it by saying that I think taking a story that features well-known tropes, genres, and an extraordinary premise, but telling it in the most simple and sweet way is an exciting thing to see. And I think that the 2000 science fiction romance film Ditto does such. And I have titled this review as Simple and Sweet, because I think that's exactly what Ditto does. So, Ditto is a South Korean film written by Jang Jin and directed by Kim Jong-kwon that follows two university students separated by 21 years but connected through a radio. Yoon So-eun, portrayed by Kim Han-il, has a crush on another student, Dong-hee, portrayed by Park Young-woo, whom she hopes to get closer to in the year 1979 after he returns from serving in the army. In the process of that, she stumbles upon a radio that works when it should not, and on the other line is Jiin, portrayed by Yoo Ji-tae from the same university, but in the year 2000. And through back and forth communication, the two students strike up an impossible friendship. As I said, I think this film is one of the best examples of an extraordinary story being told in a simple, mundane, and almost slice-of-life type of way, and that it was beautifully fitting for this time travel story to be told solely through the perspective of a girl dealing with a crush. Typically, when you have a time travel story, it's always super dramatic about, don't change the past, it'll change the present, or don't change the present, it'll change the past, or, we have to do this to save this, or you'll change the whole history of the world if this happens. But Ditto doesn't really dive into that at all, and it really just follows a girl who has a crush and talks to a guy on a radio, but the guy is in the future. Ditto features a fun cast of characters, and the female protagonist, So-eun, was all around enjoyable to watch in her youthfulness. Jiin's humorously sarcastic demeanor was a pleasant addition to the film, along with the fun dynamic he had with his outspoken friend, Hyunji, portrayed by Ha Ji-won. The lives/storylines of the two main characters are quite different, as So-eun's story seems to follow a more plot-focused direction, where it largely just centers around her pursuit of her crush, whereas Jiin's story focuses more on a character-focused type of way, since it kind of just follows more of his everyday life and friendship with Hyunji. The film is slower paced, which I think is fitting for the tone, and it also features a pretty cool plot twist. Although I wouldn't say I was emotionally invested in Ditto, I was engrossed all the same, and I really did enjoy watching it. I think this film had amazing cinematography, which was beautifully done, specifically with a scene that highlights the miscommunication and separation of the two characters when they decide to meet. And I say miscommunication with air quotes just because it wasn't necessarily a miscommunication, but then it could be seen as that because they didn't know they weren't in the same time period, whatever. Okay, let me just move on. The scene where they decide to meet stretches on long enough where it can make one who's watching it feel as if they're also there waiting too, and it really showcased the strangeness and extraordinariness and almost impossibility of the characters' friendships of the film as well. The cinematography was also beautifully done, with the scenes where So-eun and Jiin spoke over the radio, either through framing or by split screens. And I think it happened once or twice where they made it look as if So-eun and Jiin were actually talking to each other. So they'd have the screen split in half, and then it would look like they're making eye contact, but obviously they weren't. But I thought that was really cool. All in all, Ditto was a film with an extraordinary premise told in a beautifully simple way, and it was very delightful to watch. Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.